But so the truth is what we are talking about, right? So one of the concepts that we discussed about is ascension. What is ascension and why it is essential for us to be in that state of being. And the four steps that we were talking about is victimization, which is what majority of the population is living in the standards now. And then slowly you start to understand that you're not a victim of it. You need to empower things, and then you get into empowerment. And then with empowerment, you conquer some aspects of life, but then you still start to see things are happening outside of your control and you don't understand what it is. Then you get into surrenderness, where you agree to the fact that there is a greater power that is running everything, and you surrender to that power so that everything else can also come in line. Then eventually that power itself is what you become. You understand that that power is none other than you. It is within you. You are the God. So today we touch upon that power as to why I am not able to be in that state of being. Every one of us, before we are born, we are in that state. Right after we are born, we no longer have that state. There is a lot of debate on this particular topic as to why I lost the touch of truth, even though I am still the God. Right? We say that, hey, you are God by yourself. You don't need to know anything else. If you know that you are God, then everything else is in line. But still, when I am coming to earth, I am losing that knowledge of my Godism. Why is that happening? Some attribute to the mind, some go in a deeper level of antakarana, some go, specifically talking about how things are happening, why things are happening. We can go to karmic aspect of it. We can go into, what sustenance is all about, the survivals, it can be spoke in multiple different perspectives, depending upon what may be the topic of choice. But that idea that I have lost touch to myself is what we're going to touch today. Because why did I lose that identity? Why did I lose that touch of myself? Why is that I do not remember that I am God? Right? So when we bring that discussion into the aspect of truth in our life, we slowly start to realize that this life is nothing but a image or a vision of that purpose. Right? Now, granted that majority of the population don't have that level of understanding, nor have visibility, nor absolutely do not have any view or vision in terms of, hey, how I need to realize it, or why do I even look at it, and all of that. Right? We are not talking about the population of that, right? Who are totally novice to this situation. Where we are starting to draw the line is people who have understood that there is something beyond the fact. I am not just what I am being looked at, seen at, heard at. There is some force beyond that, right? What is that? That is what we are trying to explore here. So when you bring that perspective into the conversations and trying to understand, we will quickly start to find that the very realization that you are born with, you no longer have as you mature on the earthly plane. Now, what is happening between the time that you are born here and by the time you got that maturity is, in one way to say it very easily, say mind. My mind got developed. Hence, I don't have anything. Right? I don't remember my stat. When you are in the first 1 year or 2 years, you are sleeping for most of the time. You are actually in the astral planes. You are actually with the astral body. Your physical presence is very low. Your astral presence is very high. And slowly your astral presence is gone. Astral presence is where you have the connection to your Godism. Right? The kingdom of God is in the astral kingdom. What is the earth plane then? Earth plane is a laboratory. Right? God's laboratory is at earth plane. So you come here, you test yourself, you push yourself, you knock yourself, you do whatever you need to do to learn what you need to learn, and eventually figure it out that this is not going to be there. And then you get the success formula or success mantra. And with that, you go into that kingdom. That is the purpose here. So every time, every being, right, every individual who is born is coming here, is doing their purpose, and he's leaving. What is that? That is not letting me to be in that state. You see, we say it's a mind. What is happening in the mind? So the subject that we have to start to look at ourselves is one of the key subjects here. That is the reason why I am not able to be in the truth. Whether you call that truth as consciousness, the truth as liberation, realization, or you say enlightenment, whatever you want to call that, let it be nirvana. But the fact that I am not able to be in that state is because of this one thing, which is what I say mind. What is happening in my mind is, now let's get into that. Anyone would like to take a chance as and talk about it? What is that that's stopping us from being what we are as a true state? Anyone? Just think about it.
We are more involved in the mind game, and being more connected in this illusionary world, which is not real. So we, by growing day by day, we realize that we should move towards the reality, not completely involved with this illusionary world. Yeah.
So that's an explanation. But what is that that's holding me to connect to that divinity within me?
Meditation.
Yeah. Meditation is the way to reach there, right? But what is that holding me? So
all the day-to-day engagements in the day-to-day activities, which is preventing me from, I can postpone it, I can do this later, like that.
Okay. So what do you call all that? Where does that come from?
Maya, thoughts.
So what does Maya belong to?
Mindfulness, sir.
Let's talk. Right? So
Maya
that is what
belongs to this, that we have created, that this Maya. Each person creates their own Maya. Like delusionary things.
Delusionary things, exactly. So what happens is, it is the ego. Always remember, mind has the most powerful thing mind has is ego. It is because of that one ego we lost connection. What happens when I am born versus what happens when I am matured is this ego is getting, who is getting matured? It's the ego that is getting matured. What is ego? E.G.O. What does that mean? Edging the God out. What do we call that? We call that edging the God out. You have lost your realization or your ability of identifying yourself as divine. You have lost it. What happens is, when the ego develops within you, you start to accept things as they are material to the extent of your knowledge. So you no longer surrender. You no longer look at that higher power. You start to fight with your ego, saying that, why should I say I am done? Why should I not play this? Why should I give up? Right? The attitude that as you start to develop your ego, the more and more, you will quickly start to realize that there are things happening to you that are beyond your realm. But given that you have never given the importance or a greater understanding as to why this ego is playing tricks for you, you will continue to suffer. The suffering comes through that aspect of ego. This is a very sensitive and a very deep subject. I've taken this today just to kind of connect the dots with the truth, because I'm not going to go into the ego aspect of the details, but today's session is more about the truth. So I always talk on truth. So I'm trying to connect it back to the truth. So why do I lose my divinity? Why is that I am not able to realize my own divinity? Is because my ego is fully mature. Why is that I am able to have that connection at the time of the birth or the first 1 year or whatever that time is? Because there is no ego at that time. The most powerful thing that your mind has, ego. For everything, it will question. Right? Where does this ego come from? From that very divine what you are. That's the truth of it. And nobody has time, or none of us have figured it out, right? Practically, that the source of this ego, I, that you start off, I am, right? I am the one. My name is so-and-so. I do this. I have this home. I own this place. All this I, nobody questions where does this I come from. That I come from the very source that you are. If you are able to go back to that source and stick in that, you got to stick yourself in that space, right? Or you got to stay at that. Then you are enlightened. That's what this whole practice is about. Some of you spoke about meditation, some of you spoke about mindfulness. Whatever practice you do, it is for you to understand that it is my ego that is playing the trick here. I need to bring back my ego to the source, because I have edged God out of my system. I need to go back to that source. This practice is nothing but yoga. This practice is nothing but, when you say chitta vritti, yogaha, chitta vritti nirodha, yogaha, karmatu kausalyam, yogaha, different aspects of yogic, look and feel of it. When you try to connect the dots, you will quickly understand that all you are doing is you are hitting your ego again and again, again and again, again and again in multiple different perspectives, which we call, different dimensions. Now, until your ego satisfies, and please remember this, until your ego satisfies, you will not be able to pick up any practice. That ego satisfaction is where your logic mind comes in play, which is very prevalent in the Western world. Not so much on the Eastern side of it. The Western world is very prevalent of it. Question everything. Nothing is off the table. Everything question. Where is that coming from? That's coming from my ego. I don't want to accept anything without I reason myself to say that, okay, it is okay to do this. On the Eastern aspect of it, because we have this from an ancient time, if you say someone that, hey, go do this, they're going to go do it. On the Western side, we don't do that. Now, why is this important? Anyone? Why is this important?
Can you repeat the question? What is it that is important that I...
Why is that you have to dissolve your I? Why?
Because we have unknowingly developed this I from the childhood. Like, oh, this is my toy, this is my mother, this is my house. All these things are getting, from like at the age of 2 or 3, slowly the I is getting build up. And nobody in our family like to say like we have not like lived with a person who doesn't have a I or ego. So our ego get boosted. Oh, I got this rank. I got this job. There's money, power, and everything, fame, everything. We are running towards those things, not going towards inward journey. We have not met a single person. So unless like the suffering comes when you go after this money, power, and fame, nothing gives you happiness. Something you lack, something, that is disturbing you inside. Then we start questioning like why there is suffering, why there is God, how to go this inward journey. All these things are happening. And then we realize, oh, this whatever, like this all belongs to me. These are all finally the Maya. We have to give up everything just to be a watcher, or meditation, mindfulness, or practice mindfulness, or meditation. That is the reason that we have to drop it, because the more we identify, associate, it is going to be suffering. Oh, this program has to happen this particular way. That means the I is like acting up. If we drop that I, whatever is happening, it is all happening. If you see, like read about many masters, they don't want to perform any miracles or anything, they just accept the things as it is. Any failures also, they just accept as it is. The acceptance, by looking at their life, we should also learn to accept things. These are all the realization that comes to us, slowly by dropping the ego. We have to slowly drop the ego. There is no easy technique to drop the ego or I, which we have developed for so many years. So the only way is just be patient and doing the meditation more and more, and self-observing your thoughts and come to know with who you are and be in silence. There is nothing we can do. Nature goes through all kind of erosions. Is it asking any questions why this is happening to me? It doesn't ask question. But if we are, as a human being, we ask all nonsense questions, like immature kids. We are asking so many questions. So I think that's what we have to drop the I.
So what you said is, what are the things that are connected to this I, and how do I bring it back? And all. My question was more like, why do I need to take
Drop
away
the ego? That is why we have to drop the ego, because that is what is causing us suffering. The association.
Why should I drop the see? Why?
If you drop it, then it is going to control you, saying like, oh, I have to achieve this. I have to be the top person. This has to happen in my way. How can this go wrong? No. This cannot happen this way. So the mind it's a suffering for us. Self-induced suffering. So if we don't drop the I.
So think about it, right? My question, think about it again. Why you should drop ego is like the reason behind it is what it is, right? You have to think deeper. So what you said is aspects of what happens, when you do stuff and all that, right? Let's go a little more deeper. Give me more context to it.
Sir,
can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Sir, it is a roadblock before connecting to the source.
Yes,
it becomes a major roadblock. So that's why we are lagging behind in so many ways to connect to the source. So that's why we choose the meditation path to clear this roadblock and reach the source. That's all.
All right, sir. I also want to mention in Western society, this problem of questioning everything is more because I think the children are taught in schools to question everything. Don't believe anything you've been told to. Always question. So the upbringing is such for kids who are born here and raised here. So they question everything. Whereas in Eastern or India, kids don't question as much, because when teachers or elders taught them something or told them something, they believe in it.
No, exactly, right. So
I don't think so. I want to differ in that. Like in Eastern culture, like they don't question. I don't think it is. People do ask questions. The children do ask questions.
No,
They want to know. Even in the exams, so if they don't understand the concept, the children doesn't want to move further. They want to understand everything from the book, then only it will go into their brain and understand. They can answer the question in whatever the way they are asking the question. The children is able to, the child is able to answer the questions. If you cannot understand the concept, and it is like merely like you are by hearting the stuff from the
I think
book.
the point is, madam, is eastern side there is little bit of acceptance. On the west side, everything is. I mean, I agree to that point, right? I mean, I think coming back to the question, why is that? What is the reason, right? The reason is it is my natural state. I'm not trying to become something else. I am that.
I know even in the eastern side, if we ask questions, we are not going to get the right answers from our elders or ancestors. If we go and ask grandma, like, don't do this, like that, she will say, like, oh, this is something like superstitious. She will say something. We go and ask, why, grandma, why we should not do this? Oh, shut up, don't ask me questions. Like that, she will say, So
see, I think the point is not about asking question or trying to understand. The point is why even have that question is the point, right? Who is questioning? Nobody is questioning the questioner. The questioner, who is the questioner that's questioning, is the point here. That's where we are getting it, right? And why is that questioner raising this? If I am able to go to that questioner and understand and inquire about it, then I will very quickly understand that that is not my natural state. Right? Right now, I'm stuck between questioning and the questioner. And that is, both of them are happening in the mind. Both are in the mind. Right? So
the more we question, the more we go in the journey of inward journey. Why do we question? Normal people who are happy, they are not going to ask any questions. Only for the people, the things are going in the wrong way. They are not, their expectation is not met. Only those kind of people will come together and they want to go in the inward journey, because they go and seek for the masters or like guidance or a higher power. And they all teach us only like, go question yourself, go inward journey. That is the only way to drop the ego. You understand more about the ego.
So what we have to understand is where you are questioning is where your answer is there as well.
Everything is happening within ourselves.
So then why can't we go inside and do that? Why are we asking questions outside?
All the samskaras, impressions, Maya. So
No.
that is the reason we are not able to go into our journey.
No, it is not. See that is the point, right? That is the point. I see what is samadhi. Samadhi means samadhana, right? Where you get samadhana for any question, doesn't matter what height of that question is, right? You will get answer at that. It is because I don't understand where to knock the door. You're knocking the wrong door. We are always knocking the wrong door. The reason for that is your ego. So why do I need to drop my ego? Is not because I wanted to go here, I want to go. It is, ego has something that got developed over a period of time for me. That is not my natural state.
What
right?
to
My
do?
natural state is with me as it stands. So how do I drop this ego? You cannot just drop the ego just like that.
Yes, we cannot drop the ego. The way we have developed, the more suffering comes, and then it gets automatically dropped when you go and sit in the meditation. See, you are talking about high concepts about samadhi, etc. For example, for a person who doesn't even know where is there a moon exists, we are discussing about what is inside the moon, whether there will be a life inside the moon, or like how it can happen, all etc things. How can you even understand for a basic common person? I have been caught up in this the ego, Maya, delusional way of thinking. And I just started my journey as a very, very, in a slow way, like, oh, yes, this is the only way. I have to sit down and sit for meditation and observe myself. That's all I can do right now. There is nothing. I am helpless. I cannot do anything else other than watching the thoughts and go practicing silence more and more. Okay, things are not happening. Okay, one day things are happening in my way. one day things are not happening in my way, except of observing. Other than what else you can do?
So right now your ego spoke. So
I don't know. It's your
you have
judgment.
to see
I don't
the
agree
thing
that.
is, no, you don't have to agree. But the point is, it is nothing about agreeing, not agreeing. It is about trying to understand. When we said it is your natural state, and then you are saying that I don't have it, I am novice, I am this, I am that, all that is a drama. That's the point that I'm trying to get home, right?
Yeah,
The whole
all the
10-minute
dramas,
talk, whatever you are doing.
How will you clean all those dramas? Only through meditation. Nothing else can clean our dramas. Only through the silence can clean up the drama.
Correct. But are we there yet?
No.
That's the thing, right? So the realization that the ego needs to be dropped, everyone knows about it. Then why are we not there yet? Right? So what is stopping us to not get
It
there?
is not like you have developed a 400 pounds obesity and you just started the journey within 1 month. You just ask, oh, how do I get rid of it 400 pounds? There's no easy thing. You just have to keep practicing hard work, whatever the tools the masters have given. You just have to practice. Did you practice it? We have to ask the questions. Are we practicing the methods given by the masters who have said, like, am I practicing it? No. So the result is, the byproduct is, yes, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to have with the ego. So the more I practice it, I myself will get the answer within myself. Yes, I'm in the path. If I don't practice it, that is the answer. Then that means there is something that I'm doing wrong.
Exactly, right? So I think the right word to say is, it's not practice, it's learning. You're not learning. That's the point.
Yeah,
you are
can call it as
doing.
Yeah,
you are repeatedly doing the same thing again and again, again and again, again and again, but there is no learning. Because of lack of learning, that same cycle is coming repeatedly again and again for us, right? So the take home on this is, that's why truth is not something that you just comprehend. It's not like a flip of a thing that I get it, right? Because when we say that you are in that state already, you don't have that realization. When you don't have that realization, you are trying to learn that I am not just this physical body, I am that what is running everything else. It is easy to say than to be in that state. So when you are trying to be in that state, your ego is getting in the play and then trying to push left, right, and center. Right? Now, the question that we need to ask, each of us have to ask, is in context to the truth. Again, this is in context to the truth, not about Maya, not about anything else. Everything else, what you're seeing in this world, whatever you are seeing, the impressions, whatever karma, whatever you're talking, it's all about ego. It's all in the mind. When I talk about truth, truth is beyond mind. That is the truth that we need to get to. For you to get that, you have to cross the bridge of mind. And the major thing, the last thing that will catch hold of you is your ego. It is not going to die. It is not going to go away. The moment it goes away, you are in that realization. You are in that state. You are become from mind to, that's why this journey is called mind to heart journey. We have to become more heart-centric. We have to let go of the mind-centric. But it is not easy to do so. And hence the practice and hence the learning. So there is a distinction as to what I am practicing versus what I am learning. Two different things. You have to understand this it is very sensitive, right? You are doing meditation for a number of years. Okay, when I ask you, what did you learn? Your learning may be limited. What did you achieve, right? It may be very limited, or it may be much more than profoundly came from your past lives and all that. It is that learning that is letting you out of this, not the practice. You may be a best cricket player, but what did you learn out of it? That's the thing. Transcending something only comes from learning, not just from practice. So practice is one of the steps for which it will help you to get to a point where You want to learn from it. You want to accept it. You want to surrender to it. You want to agree to the terms, saying that, okay, it is good to do it, right? When somebody talks about meditation, saying that why meditation reduces stress levels, why would I even consider that, right? Yeah, my ego is going to question it, right? Let it question. And then slowly, I will take a step and then say that, okay, maybe there is something coming out of this. Okay. When I start to do it, I quickly start to realize that, yes, this is something there. I don't know what exactly is happening, but there is something there. I have learned something new today. I'm going to keep owning it. I'm going to keep developing it. That attitude is what brings your ego in line. Now, if you don't get that attitude within your system, you will not get to the truth, because that is all what is needed for truth. Truth is not about something that you go buy out there. Truth is within you. So if you don't introspect, if you don't do your inner journey, you will never know about truth. It is as simple as that. Why even talk about anything else? But the point that we all have to drive home is, I am going to shut down my ego. I'm going to take away my ego. Those are not the ways to look at it. You got to balance your ego. The reason why you got to balance your ego is when you are in the material world, you need your ego. You cannot say that, when you are at work, you want to talk to your coworker or your boss. You cannot have, timelines. You cannot have schedules, tight, activities that you're working on. I mean, you suddenly have to stand up when things are not working. And then things are working, you suddenly have to put. That is all ego as well. How do you get that balance is where the learning is. I am not standing here to talk about how do we track these things to the truth. The one that we all have to understand is, okay, if I am able to balance my ego, I allow myself to go inward. That's the point here, inward. If my ego is not balanced, it will not let me go inward. If I don't go inward, truth is far from reality. Edging the God out. See, the moment we say edging the God out, I lost my touch to the divinity. Doesn't mean that divinity is gone. I lost the touch. So I can bring it back. Only when my ego is balanced, it will let me go inside. So how do I bring that practice? By meditation, by mindfulness, whatever the techniques that we are using, we are talking about, right? And having that very, very solid understanding. If we do not understand this very clearly, you will never ever allow yourself to go inside. You will always have 1,000 reasons to get out. 1,000 reasons.
I have a question. Introspect doesn't happen if you're without your ego. Introspect means if your ego doesn't get hurt, you will not go the inward, find the path of inward journey. You have to over and over and over. Life situation has to kill your ego. Somehow I have done everything is really good. Why it is not happening? So only the journey will go towards inward. We don't have to ego balancing or not. I'm not able to understand what is ego balancing. Because are we talking about the path or path towards the inward journey, or are we talking about the after the end of the journey of what we are going to see, the samadhi or nirvikalpa or whatever it is?
Oh man, I'm not talking
because
about
without an understanding the path, the journey that we have to travel, how can we talk about the end result? It's a byproduct of it. See, if a person with, for example, obesity person, the trainer has given some instructions, the diet to follow and exercise to be followed, and he should not worry about the end result, because the end result is again your mind is craving for that. Again there is an expectation to reach the end goal. If you don't have end goal, I'm going to surrender myself and then start working out, because this is not, my health is going down. I cannot live like this the way that I'm living right now. I'm not able to walk properly, for example, because of my obesity. I'm just giving an example. So that person has to realize that I cannot exist the way my life is going right now. That strong determination is not there. The person may be like coming to this meditation classes for like something to happen or something like that. The deep understanding of going inward journey is not going to happen. The introspection, like whatever the question, that inward journey will not happen for that person. Why would a person, like if the life is going on smoothly, there is not major this thing, he is able to sleep well, to some okay, the life is going on for him very beautifully, happy, he's bestowed with everything. He's not going to think about inward journey unless if it has like even everything is fulfilled in this life, like Buddha. There are 4 or 5 trivial things it triggered him. Why there is suffering in this world? That is a deep, the question. The Buddha has to leave the kingdom, the lavish lifestyle, and go to the street and search for the monk lifestyle. That sincerity and dedication is not there for a person. It is not going to happen.
So, you spoke at length about a lot of things here, but I'll try to address the ego aspect. Right? So, you have to start to look at it not from the perspective as to outward to inward. This is all about being in the state as to where you are and where you want to go or where you want to take this. Now, the question is, you don't have to always struggle to go inward, right? Then if that is the reason, then why is that some people get the knowledge from the gurus and then they take the opportunity and say, okay, I am a wise person learns from the wise one, right? If you are wise, you don't go through the experience, you learn from others' experience.
No, life is God doesn't keep that as so easy. Unless the person must have done something in his past life. He must have graduated 10th grade in the past life. So that is why he is progressing from 11th and 12th grade this life.
It is a paradox, man. So what you are talking and where we are going is a paradox, right? Whatever may be the aspect of it, right? It is, see, whether you are saying that I'm struggling, I have to struggle to be able to get that, then, you don't, what is Buddha saying? Buddha is saying that suffering is inevitable, but you are not the one suffering. What do we get out of that? You are not the one suffering, but suffering is inevitable. There are paradoxes depending upon how you put yourself in. If I am in the state where I am saying that to begin with I am a God, where is the suffering? Is it not true that you are God? It is true. You are a God. Whether you know it or not, you are a God. Period. But why is that I am suffering then? Does God ever suffer? Now let's take this in a different perspective, right? Are you coming out from God as a piece? Are you coming out of God as the image of God? You are the embodiment of the image of the God. You are the entirety of God. Then why is that you don't have the power to even control your own life or one situation in your life? Forget about controlling your life. One situation in your life you cannot control. Why is that? See, it is all about that state as to where you are in. We can go talk about all of that aspects as to miseries, what I go through it, what I do it, but that's not the intent here. The intent is to how do I bring it back into this perspective as to realize that the truth alone will bring me out of this. Otherwise, this will continue. This drama is going to continue forever and ever. So when we start to bring attention to some of those very key aspects of it, then we start to quickly realize that how do we bring the whole thing together. The second aspect to this is when I bring my ego at balance, right? So how do I bring my ego at balance? Is a very simple thing. As to when I start to realize that whatever the struggle or whatever the situation I am going through, that situation, the answers are within me. Right? The answers are within me. Then you will start to realize it. If I don't allow myself to the understanding that answers are within me, then I will never go inward. I will only look outward. That is ego acting, right? When my ego acts, I look the answers outside. When my ego is balanced, I let my ego go inside. So it is the truth and untruth, right? Peace and suffering. All these things are happening as to which side of the fence you are on. Are you going the inward journey or are you on the outward journey? Most of the time, we are on the outward journey. That is why we feel that our life is not, we are not in charge of our life. So trying to bring that perspective into your lives is going to help us to understand how do we navigate things going forward. It is that understanding and the learning that helps me to say that, okay, if I have a situation, I need to go inward to figure that out. Now, when, even in our society, when you go and talk about some problem to senior masters, right? What do they suggest? To say, you don't have enough energies to kind of bring it together. So why don't you do this? Why don't you create that energy? Why don't you put a sankalp? Why don't you have a good intention? Why are we doing all that? It's as simple as that you're going inward and you are focusing on that very one thing that you want to repeatedly make it happen. And the other way to look at it is, I'm going to go outward. I'm going to go to a temple. I'm going to go visit someone. I'm going to look at ABC as an option. I'm going to look at, and then say that I want an answer. So you may go to a temple and the priest may tell you ABCD. That might solve the problem. You may go do that. But your problem is still not solved. Why is that? Or it may be solved. So when you have that pure intention, right, that you wanted to really solve the problem, what you're looking for, then that intention is nothing but your inward aspect of it. You have very strong urge to bring that out, right? To solve that problem, whatever you're going through. In that aspect, what you're doing is you're balancing your ego and you're putting your entire focus on that. And you're taking a medium. That medium can be inward or outward. Some belief, right? That belief system, that faith, that unwavering faith is what makes things happen for us. Unwavering faith. I don't have any negativity when I want to make A happen to me. In that, at that juncture, whether you are outward or inward, it is going to work, because in your inward, you already accepted that that's going to come to me, and you have absolutely no fickle mind. There are no two things at it. You only have one thing in there, because that's what you want. So as you start to look at this aspect as to why between truth and the reality as to where you are, it is this ego that is playing the game as to why you are not able to get there. Now the challenge is, how do I control this ego? One aspect is, we said meditation. Do meditation, you will transcend the ego, right? It is not easy to transcend the ego just by meditation, because my ego will have to go into the source of it, which is in my heart, and it has to subside there. Does it have to sleep there? Does it have to die there? That's the question, right? And if you really look at it, the only way, if you want to get enlightenment, okay, if you are truly looking for enlightenment, then your ego has to die. There is no sleeping. If your ego sleeps for some time, that's what happens in a deeper state of meditation, right? Your ego sleeps. When it sleeps, it's going to come back. So when we are trying to bring the whole thing together, so what happens is, like, this is where, some of the masters, like, if you read about Ramana Maharshi, he talks about going from I to I am, right? If you look at Paramahamsa Yogananda, he talks about going from mind to heart. Every master who is enlightened has given a path towards this. That how do you go from your I to the I am, or from mind to heart? And even In our society, Patriji, right, we also have a way of going from your mind to heart through breath, right? So it is important that we understand and bring that practice into our life. It is that lack of practice that is not letting me do it. Three things have to happen. The understanding has to happen. Practice should be there. And then with that, you will build that whatever you are looking for. Now, in this aspect of it, first of all, for you to even practice it or for you to understand it, your ego needs to come in line. That's the point, right? Now, it doesn't have to be that you have to struggle all the time, right? There is, the madam was asking earlier that I have to struggle all the time to be able to get there and all, right? It doesn't have to be struggle. It has to be, you got to be wise enough to understand that if some great master is with you and he's telling you, some may pick it up quickly. Granted that they past lives, they may have gone through some struggle, right? But the idea is not to come into this through struggle, because if you're coming through struggle, you don't stick to it for long. Or the other way to look at it is, after the struggle is over, you're done. You're not going to stick to this. It is a triggering point. That is what I wanted to give you, right? Triggering point. You always will have to have a triggering point through which you come into the journey. If I don't have my triggering point at what is my one reason that's letting me to come here to be in the truth, is what gives me that opportunity to get in there. That can be your own life design. You may have a triggering point of illness. Some may have a situation. Some may have a relationship. Some may have some kind of money related issues. The triggering point can be anything. But the moment you get that and you start looking inward, very quickly we'll start to realize that everything begins and ends inside. Outside is only a reflection of inside. I'm making these big statements, but there is a reason towards that, right? If you look at any great masters, right, teachings of them, even Patriji, if you go in our Bhagavad Gita and all that, it is all about inward, that everything is happening, as an outward. Outward is an image. Your mirror is inside. What the mirror is seeing is outward. So you trying to go change outward is like you chasing the shadow. And when my ego is fully developed, I always chase the shadows. I'm no longer in the reality. That is the point. I'm no longer in the reality. I lost the touch of the reality. So what this process is helping me is to understand that it is absolutely essential that I have to continue in some form or fashion my inward journey. Whether you do meditation or whether you actually look at taking internal uh, aspect of like mindfulness, or you wanted to practice some pranic activities, or you wanted do some kriya process of it, right? Whatever may be that will help you to go internal. If you start to look at that aspect of it, then slowly you will start to realize on your own. Until you realize on your own, you are not going to stick to it. So you may have a triggering point today that I have this leg pain, for example, that because of this, I got to really, you went to doctors, you went wherever, you knocked every door outside, but you are not getting the expected results. So what do? You found out that, hey, maybe meditation can help you. And then you took that opportunity of that leg pain, and then you started doing your meditation. Then slowly you started to realize that this meditation is working for you. Over a period of time, the pain is gone. So now you have a reason to believe on your own. It is that faith and that belief that lets you take to that next step. Every time that you have that belief, you have that faith, right? You question yourself internally, your ego gets balanced. You say that, okay, let me try this. You try that. you get that what you're looking for, then slowly, slowly, that is how the internal, right, journey begins. It is not going to begin overnight, right? If nothing happens overnight, you cannot just transition from your physical body to, supra casual or transcendental body just like that. The awareness has to shift from one body to other body, in a very gradual way. As you start accumulating the energies through your meditation cycles, you will slowly start to get to a point where you are beyond the state of ego. What is beyond the state of ego? Anyone? What is the state that is beyond ego?
It's the truth. Yeah, sir, it is the truth.
It is see, what we call is intuition.
Intuition. Yeah.
Beyond that state of ego is intuition, right? So you have to, that's why we say that it's heart center, right? Listen to your heart, the sixth sense.
Yeah, sixth sense.
So the fourth body, until you reach to that fourth body, because when you ask a question, you got to listen to this very carefully, what I'm talking here, right? When you ask a question to yourself, the answer is coming from your fourth body.
Okay.
If you are in that awareness, you will always get that answer. You will always get that answer. No matter what may be your question, you will have an answer coming from your fourth body. Now, the question is whether I am in that awareness. I am aware. Am I aware? For you to be aware, you need to have the energies. And hence,
we listen to that inner voice.
Correct.
We should have to listen to that inner voice, which comes through the silence in us.
Correct. So the chattering of the mind has to come down to a point where your ego subsides, your everything of the mind activity is very balanced and it has come down to a point. Then your intuition starts to act up. Every one of us, you always have to remember, until you develop your intuition capabilities, until you are able to hear to your intuition, until you are able to understand the messages that are coming from intuition, meditation has to be done. Go deep, go deep. There is no time for meditation. Even Patriji says about this, right? Until you hit that intuition body, until you are able to capture everything that your intuition is saying, please continue to do your meditation. Doesn't matter, 10 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours, doesn't matter. You have to be able to hear. When I ask a question to myself, my answer is there in my intuitional body. Then why am I not able to catch hold of it today? Because my mind is acting up. Through my ego, right? Mind is heavily acting up. So it is not letting me go there. I don't have the awareness to be in that state for me to receive that. The message is coming to my heart, but I'm not able to grasp that. Every one of us have sixth sense. Even everyone who is born has the ability of the sixth sense. That sixth sense is in the intuitional body. So as you start this journey inward, slowly, right, you get to a point. So that is the reason there is no one size fits all. Nobody can tell that, okay, you do for next 4-hour meditation, you're going to get this. It all depends upon that mixture of things that are going inside us that will help you. But there is a demarker. The demarker is you should be able to hear your intuitions. If you start to hear your intuitions, you know exactly what your next session is going to be about. What is that? That intuition is where things start to manifest for you. That is the purpose why you are here. That is truth. It doesn't necessarily, please understand, it doesn't necessarily help you in the current state as you are in. It is not always that, in the current state you are going through something, the intuition may tell you that suffer this way. It will tell you suffer this way, so that you learn, because intuition always comes with a long-term vision. It helps you to transcend that karma. It helps you to transcend that situation. It is not going to give you temporary reliefs. It is not like mind, where it says that just go do this and you are done with it. Intuition will never say that. So you need two things. Number one is you are able to hear when you are putting those questions to yourself, you're getting answers at the intuition level. Number two, you need to be able to accept and live by that stand. That's the second thing.
You said like the mind will say like suffer, this is a path. Can you explain on that?
So what happens, ma'am, is if let's take this leg pain thing, right? In the leg pain process, what happens is once you start doing meditation, okay? After, let's suppose 15 days, you will start to feel little bit of a relief. Okay, you have not completely cured from it, but you started to take a relief, right? Your mind will say, okay, I think you have done enough now. Your leg is okay, you can walk. This is, it's fine, right? Don't do it. Meditation, you're done with it. Go out and have fun. That is typical state of mind. What your intuition says is, don't let it go, because you need to do another 60 days of meditation. Okay, the moment you bring this 60 days versus the freedom that you get to go enjoy, you have a choice here, right? So when you look at this, it may feel at that very juncture that I need to stretch myself, I need to do more and all that. But this intuition message, if you follow, okay, if you bring that in, then this leg pain will never come to you in your life. That's a big picture. The reason why I may or I may not depends upon my power of my mind, how much my mind is powerful. Because intuition is always same. Intuition is not changing. Even now, with my highest power of my mind, intuition is still giving me messages. I ask a question, I get an answer. That box is always capturing information for me. I don't have a keys to open that. Right? If I do have a keys to open that, it is telling me that continue this path for next X number of months or so. I start to look at it and say, oh, no, it's okay. So who is acting here between my mind and my intuition? My mind is acting here. But what is truth? Truth is saying that listen to your intuition, because that is the long-term goal. That is the purpose why you are here.
That is why we are falling back, because of the mind. For
Correct.
example, the drunkard guy who used to drink like 10 bottles a day, he started doing meditation. He's able to come out, he is able to stop with 5 bottles. Oh, what a great. And then great liberation. And then again the mind plays trick, and then he is not practicing the meditation. And then this 5 goes to 6. Oh, anyway, we do the meditation, we can achieve it any time. And then 5 goes to 6, 6 goes to 10, and then
Exactly.
he falls back again. That is the samskaras. The addiction pattern is so strong that we fall back over and over.
Exactly. You're right. I mean, so that is, so this truth, whatever we are talking, that intuition, the message coming to your intuition and your stand towards that, two different things, right? Intuition is nothing but, you may say that God is giving me the message, or God is giving me an opportunity, whatever you call that. You call that into sixth sense, you call that, I'm receiving messages, or whatever it is, right? Oh, my heart is speaking to me. There are so many different ways, masters have talked about it. The names can be anything, but the fact is, you got that as you are born with, right? Now, if all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go back to that state now. All I'm trying to do is I'm not doing anything else. By going my inward, I'm trying to connect to that. Even today I have it, but my mind is so frickled and so crowded that it is not letting me hear those messages. That's the only thing that what we are doing. So parallelly the information is coming. I am posing a question to myself, why is this happening to me? The answer is in my intuition. Intuition has the answer, but I don't have a way to go to the intuition today because my mind is not letting me, because this is chattered way too much. I have too many thoughts going on parallelly. So I never have an opportunity, number one. Number two, even if I have opportunity, I get my intuition at some point. Now I don't know whether I want to implement it or not. That's another thing. So that's why when you go into that state, when you are in the intuitional state of it, right, you cannot do anything wrong. You cannot do anything wrong. It may seem for the person who is looking at you that you are doing wrong. Please understand. From a person who is stuck in the body mind, they may look at you and say that you are doing wrong. This is wrong. This is not how you live life. But if your intuition is saying, if your inner voice, if your sixth sense is telling you that this is the right thing to do, then that is what you should do. Every Grand Master has spoke about this. Because you are the best judge of your own self. Nobody can judge you. If somebody else is trying to judge you, means they are not matured enough. That's the point. They're not qualified. Jesus says, right, judge not. So the point is, if I need to get to that state, that is beyond the state of your regular chattering mind. It requires deeper penance. With this knowledge is important. Without this knowledge, you won't be able to get there. That's why hammer yourself again and again on these topics, trying to understand how do I bring my ego in balance to make sure that I need to go. Right? I need to go inward. I need to do more and more and more until you start to hear your intuitions very clearly. You pose a question, you sit, you hear the answer within. And not like you are hearing your mind chattering answers. You are hearing the purposeful response coming from your intuition. And believe me, you will know it. You will distinctively able to differentiate between mind chattering and your intuitional messages. Because they are coming from your source. It's a divine, it's a divinity within you, right? That is speaking to you.
During
the
the
God
life
within
or
you is speaking to you.
during the life or death situation, say for example, a snake is coming to bite you, or the ferocious dog is coming to bite you, automatically our intuition says, oh, go and do this action. It comes in you. But for normal people like me, like the awareness of the intuition has gone, like faded away totally under the ground. So by practicing more and more meditation, we have to bring that intuition, the heightened awareness we have to bring that heightened awareness to that intuition.
Exactly. See, every day you will progress, madam, right? This is a good point that you brought up, right? Let me clarify that. Every day when you start and do meditation, there is a progress. Okay, there will be progress because you are receiving energy. Even 1 inch of the energy that you are receiving, there is a progress happening. The point is, I am not aware of that progress. Just because I'm not aware of the progress, I'm going to say that I sat for meditation, nothing happened to me. That's not true. Some meditation itself means happening. So something is happening. And meditation is always happening is good because it's a long-term thing. Right? Yeah, I'm not looking at a short-term results here. I'm looking for a long-term. I got to go back to my divinity. So that's a long-term thing. So every day there is a progress. But so what masters have said is, just because you're progressing day by day, day by day, day by day is not going to give you that state. What is my qualifier? Where do I say that, okay, I am at bar now. Okay, I have achieved something, or I am at a state where things are working in my favor. How do I draw myself to a conclusion that, okay, this is where I am, right? They said intuitional body. Keep doing your meditation until you hit that intuitional body, because that is when you are in that state. Now, after that, is it done? No, it is not done. You still have to go. casual to supra-casual, then you go into that realization. The journey is still there, but you can really differentiate a senior meditator who has connected to that intuitional body versus an individual who is stuck in the body-mind scenario. You can really differentiate. A person who is intuitionally capable is always calm, he's always centered, he's always balanced. You don't find him acting up. You can easily find that out. And that capability, I'm not saying that only by meditation you're going to get that. I mean, there are other aspects of it, right? How do you get there and all that? But we're not going there. But my point is, that is not truth alone, right? You still have to go back. So even you are a witness to your own intuition as well. The activity that my higher self is giving me a message, I am receiving this message and I am processing this message in my fourth body. And my fourth body is giving me this out to my mind, and my mind is saying that do this, and my body is acting upon that, right? All these processes also witnessing. But when do I get that? When I am in that state. That is what I'm talking about. The truth is what brings you that reality first. So until I accept that, okay, I have to get to the truth, it is not possible for you to go deep. We see, every one of us, right? We are stuck with, I did 1 hour meditation, I did 45 minutes, I did 2 hours meditation. We are always stuck with the time. If I go beyond the state of the physical plane, there is no time, there is no space. Then why am I looking for 1 hour, 2 hour, this thing? So that's why if you go look at real masters, right? They don't talk about time, they talk about state. And it is true that you have to be in that. It doesn't matter how much time you're spending to get there. Are you doing 10 hours of meditation daily? Are you doing 50 hours of meditation daily? It doesn't really matter. Or weekly, sorry. It doesn't really matter. Are you in that state? Yes or no? If you are in that state, you are there. If you're not in that state, you still have to work. That's the point. Because until you get to that state, so the point I'm trying to get home is, if you are in that state, you will start to understand more about this truth. Because now you are trying to get that message from the divine as to what this is all about. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I going through what I am going through? What are my next steps? How do I get out of this process? This karmic process. Am I the one going through this, or is someone else going through it and I'm witnessing it? All these questions, whatever the grand masters, the great masters have talked about, or the scriptures have talked about, we will start to realize it very quickly when you are in that state of intuition. So that's the thing, right? So that's why, it is important that we balance the ego aspect of it. We understand that sometimes it is absolutely out of control. Sometimes we get very emotional. There are a lot of triggering points. There are hundreds of triggering points. But what we need to slowly start to understand is, by putting our ego out there, we are damaging our own self. You are killing your own progress by putting the ego out there. And I'm not saying that don't do it. If you have a reason to do it, you go do it. But if you don't have a reason to do it, just back off. Right? Don't get emotional for petty things. Again, this all comes with practice. So continue to have this knowledge. This knowledge is very important. We have to digest this. There are a lot of subtle messages that we spoke today, right? You have to have the deeper sense of it. And when you get that, when you grasp that, is when you get into the journey of truth. Otherwise, you will not be in the journey of truth. Period. And Paramahamsa Yogananda, he talks at length about some of these aspects, right? How do I let go of my ego? What do I do to do this? What do I do to do that? So even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, in his later aspects, right, he said, it is that I that's the center of everything. He says it's the center of everything. And Ramana Maharshi, he says that you drop I, you will quickly realize that you are I am. like the messages are coming from masters in a different aspects, but the ultimate result of it is same. The goal is same. Nothing is changing. They just use different terms to show us the path, right? This is how it is, this is how it. But ultimately, that is what they're trying to tell us, that this ego, until you bring your ego in line, truth is not gonna be your friend. All right. Any questions? So let's do meditation, masters. For half an hour, 40 minutes. Let's do meditation.